There is plenty of information on the internet that you will never think you could find with a single click, but we are sure that many of you have already heard about the SCP Foundation and its strange creatures. What is it for? We are talking about a secretive quasi-governmental organization which operates beyond jurisdiction, entrusted by every major national government with the task of localizing, studying and containing anomalous objects, entities and phenomena. That's why SCP stands for Secure, Contain, Protect. The different governments around the world entrust this foundation with the study of a series of strange phenomena that have been cataloged as SCP phenomena, anomalies that pose a significant threat to global security by threatening the physical or psychological harm. However, it should be noted that, sometimes, the power of this foundation stands above some governments. But how does the SCP Foundation work? When they detect one of these anomalies, their main agents are deployed in order to catch it and prevent it from falling into the wrong hands. And, as expected, the database of the SCP Foundation is really large. Each object, individual or entity is assigned an identification number, as well as a report with its description, relevant data, and other related files. All these entities and objects are subject to a very exhaustive observation and surveillance process, so the security strategy must be very comprehensive. Depending on the complexity of containment of each SCP, these beings are classified in 3 different categories: Safe, Euclid, and Keter. Safe, for objects understood well enough that they can be contained easily, although they continue to be a threat. Euclid, for objects that are unpredictable or not well understood. And finally, Keter, for objects that require extensive containment procedures and which pose a large-scale threat to human life. It is said that the SCP Foundation maintains containment procedures for over 4,000 SCPs, including some of the most frightening, intensely odd, and surreal. Are you all set to know some of them? Here are 3 dangerous creatures secretly held in captivity. Number 3. SCP-087. Classification: Euclid. SCP-087 is a staircase that descends, literally to nowhere, since no one has managed to reach the end of it. The only thing that is known about it is that it is located at the campus of a university whose name has not been yet revealed, possibly to ensure the safety of anyone who dares to visit this place. However, according to the information provided by the Foundation itself, the door leading to this staircase has been built with reinforced steel and has an electric locking mechanism. SCP-087 has been the subject of 4 video-documented explorations by Class D personnel, that is, probationary subjects such as death row or life sentence inmates who are used to interact with the most dangerous SCPs. As far as they have managed to find out, this staircase is inhabited by SCP-0871, a being consisting of a face with no mouth, pupils or nostrils. No matter how far down you go, you will always hear the cries of a child crying at a distance of 200 meters. But although the nature of SCP-081 is unclear, it is known that he's not the source of the crying. However, all attempts to descend these stairs and try to get closer to the place from which the heart-rending sound emanates have proved impossible, so it is very difficult to determine whether or not this place has an end. It should also be noted that the people who have been in this place have suffered from intense fear and paranoia. However, it has not been determined whether these sensations are due to the interaction with SCP-087 itself, or whether it is a natural reaction to the fact of having to go down a staircase in complete darkness and in which the continuous crying of a baby can be heard. Number 2. SCP-106. Classification: Keter. No physical interaction with SCP-106 is allowed at any time. In addition, all staff are to remain at least 60 meters away from the containment cell. SCP-106 appears to be an elderly humanoid with a general appearance of advanced decomposition. Its appearance can vary, but the rotten quality is observed in all its forms. Most curious feature of this creature is that it causes a corrosion effect in all solid matter it touches. engaging a physical breakdown in materials several seconds after contact. This is observed as rusting, rotten, and cracking of materials, and the creation of a black, mucus-like substance similar to the material coating SCP-106. Corrosion continues for 6 hours after contact, after which the effect appears to burn out. Another of SCP-106's most surprising abilities is that it can pass through solid matter, leaving behind a large patch of some kind of acid. When it disappears, it generates what is assumed to be a form of pocket dimension, that is, a parallel dimension where SCP has absolute control. On top of that, according to some studies carried out on this place, this dimension consists of rooms and halls where this creature tails its victims. There, it releases them with the purpose of playing with them, trying to haunt them again. Besides, everything suggests that this entity prefers human prey between 10 and 25 years old, which it will try to incapacitate by damaging their organs, muscles, or tendons. However, SCP-106 is not exceptionally agile and will remain motionless for days at a time, waiting for prey. It is also capable of scaling any vertical surface and can remain suspended upside down indefinitely. As for its cell, it is made of reinforced steel and lead and must also be completely sealed. And, as if this cell isn't secure enough, it is surrounded by a secondary containment area which consists of 16 spherical cells with different fluids, which will prevent SCP-106 from escaping by using its pocket dimension. Number 1. SCP-096. Classification: Euclid. SCP-096 is a humanoid creature that measures 2.38 meters high. It is an entity with almost no muscles, whose arms are grossly out of proportion with the rest of its body, with an approximate length of 1.5 meters. Besides, its skin is unpigmented, and there is no evidence of body hair. As for its mouth, its jaw can open 4 times wider than that of a person. So far, it is not known whether or not it can be blind. Despite its somewhat creepy and disturbing appearance, SCP-096 is normally docile, with pressure sensors inside its cell indicating it spends most of the day walking inside it. By the way, its containment cell is hermetically sealed steel cube that has to be checked every week. There are no video surveillance systems there, such as security cameras or optical tools. Its presence inside this cell will only be guaranteed by a series of sensors and laser detectors. But why? Apparently, any photograph, video, or recording that reveals SCP-096's true appearance is strictly forbidden, as it poses a real threat to any person. When someone views SCP-096's face, whether it be directly, via video recording, or even a photograph, it will enter a stage of considerable emotional distress. This strange entity would cover its face with its hands and begin to scream, cry, and babble incoherently. After that, he will run towards the person who has dared to observe its face and seize it. From that moment on, nothing will be able to prevent it, and it will be referred to as SCP-096-1. After the attack, SCP-096 will return to its apparent docile state. There is only one video in which a group of hikers managed to record an SCP-096 in the middle of a forest. Where did it happen and how did they manage to make the recording? Nobody knows, but watching the video is at your own risk. As we have said before, the SCP Foundation could keep hidden more than 4,000 entities potentially dangerous to the human race, or that is what its creators want us to believe. This foundation is a collaborative fiction project developed on its own website. That is, the information and articles are written by the community itself. In any case, don't worry about that, because this organization doesn't exist. Although we cannot guarantee that there are no terrifying creatures roaming around us. There are evidence that famous military bases, such as the famous Area 51, hide important discoveries from the rest of the world. Would you like to know more about these stories? If so, check out our next video.